What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to the Casual Consumer live stream. We've got the whole gang together again. It's like the Beatles getting back for a tour, But today we've got a lot to talk about today. The PS5 Pro, obviously, and how it feels like they're reverting back to their PlayStation 3 days. The hubris. That's what I'll go with first, right? And then we've got Chris Deering. He's an ex Sony Computer Entertainment Europe president. That is a mouthful. And his comments on a podcast have really left a bad taste in gamers' mouths. Understandably so. I think Nas has something to say about that. But then, lastly, we're going to be talking about the future of gaming and healthcare. This is a very exciting development in the gaming industry. We have Ryan Douglas, the founder of DeepWell DTX, and he is creating a software kit to help use through gaming, help people reduce stress, help their mental states. And I think that's really exciting news. It's funny. When I thought about this, is we've come a long way from demonizing video games and gamers to now we're using games to help with mental stress and things like that. So that's really
Oh no,
cool.
they're still doing it. They're still doing it.
They're still demonizing. Right on.
Sure.
Well, I mean, still though, it's a really exciting development. I can't wait to talk about that. But before we get into that, we've got Nas the Retro Boss. We've got GG Leon Kennedy makes her week. Thank you. Gamer Geek Leon Kennedy makes her week, and we've got SB from the GB in the house.
Yes, sir.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Doing really good. How are you?
Good.
Right on.
Full to bursting with things to talk about, honestly.
That's true.
This week has been just nonsense.
Yes.
Too much
nonsense.
It has, in my opinion. I've been trying to keep my head in the sand when it comes to that stuff.
Oh yeah. It's been pretty...
I'm interested in the mental health and video game talk though, because we all know that I suffer from PTSD and stuff like that, and video games have helped me immensely.
Yes, so definitely looking
I'm
forward
excited to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely can't wait to hear your perspective on that. It's going to be really, really awesome. We just have a really good episode coming up.
And the cat's tails keep making cameos.
That's always exciting. I love that. So I mean, before we get started, I did find one trailer. I know I said that we didn't have one, but we have one trailer. Looks like a lot of fun. Do we want to go ahead and get into that?
Absolutely.
Right on. No
Yes,
intro
sir.
today. And that sucks, but it's all right. We'll make up for that. Make up for it. Let's see. Queuing it up. I have it over here.
Great minds think alike, by the way. I've noticed we've all got the same coloured T-shirt almost. It seems.
I know. We were very
sure.
excited.
Yeah, I know.
Nas has one. He has one.
For the sake of this show, I am wearing a white T-shirt.
That's right. It doesn't matter what you wear. Your voice is just magic.
Oh, stop it.
I'm not going to. How's it feel to be blush bombed?
Blush bomb.
Well, you wouldn't know.
I know.
I'm pretending that you're blushing, okay? I can't be the only one that turns into a tomato all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can. You can. You absolutely can.
You're so mean.
Right on. Let's see. I have this. I have it somewhere. Nope, I do not. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, so this one is called Dead Second, right? I want to say it's a VR game. And it incorporates some bullet time stuff in there. I can't wait to take a look at this one. So let's just get over to it real quick. Yeah, this looks like a lot of fun.
I'm sorry, but that one makes me wish I could play VR. That looks fantastic.
Absolutely.
I would have
I'm
so much
getting-
fun.
Do you remember Time Crisis back in the arcades? I'm getting that vibe.
Right on.
And
Yeah.
they
We're gonna be,
made the guns actually look really good,
Right.
which
Yeah.
surprises me.
Uh-huh.
They sound pretty good too.
Yes.
I love it when he turns it sideways. It reminds me of that movie
John
first,
Woo.
First Date with Tina Fey.
It reminds me of The
And-
Matrix.
And they turn it sideways, and her husband's like, "Kill John, kill John."
So this is also going to be on PC as well. It's on
Right on.
Steam.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Oh wait, never mind.
Hmm.
It's already out. I didn't realize it was already out.
Oh, me neither. I didn't either. It looks like a lot of
I
fun.
love
You know, I've never played a VR game before.
I love how they say
Me
come
either.
dead second. Like, no, I'm coming first.
Yeah. This is
It's
a
like
very
fun, though.
interesting title or name in the game. Dead Second. I like it.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously they went for a different kind of animation style, which is totally fine. It still looks really, really good. For what
It
they're-
definitely makes it look more like a game.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
and reality all at once. I have a feeling that the developer probably did it purpose, one, to make it stand out from other games, and two, to keep the people from complaining that it was too realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, they
And-
could have gone with like a Borderlands look. I'm glad they didn't.
Me too.
It looks,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of I don't know, at this point it's kind of getting played out with certain games, you know, that very comic book bold outlines.
Oversaturation.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I'm starting to hate it.
yeah.
Do you think the developers can get away with the graphics on VR games? Because I mean, not to be disrespectful to the graphics or anything, but it doesn't look like a next gen game, if you will.
No,
Just
Right,
the
right. I know
VR
what you mean.
aspects.
Yeah.
You
So
think
do you
that,
think-
that the VR gameplay can kind of compensate for
Yeah.
the? Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah.
I think. Well, I mean, it's going to be different from person to person,
Mhm.
obviously, but
Mileage
that
vary,
will
yeah.
mask a certain amount of it for sure.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Just
it'll
wanted-
be just by nature
Sorry,
of it
go
being VR, and you're moving around constantly with a VR headset.
Mhm.
It's going to be very difficult to kind of retain that graphical fidelity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We've seen
Well, it-
VR games where they look like hyper realistic. The one where
Oh yeah.
it was kind of like Skyrim. And you run
Mhm.
around killing.
Mhm.
They look like goblins, kind of, but that one looked really freaking good, and you could do a lot of stuff in it. But I mean, this one just looks like a ton of fun. One you could just pick up, play, and put
Yeah.
down. You don't have to spend
Yeah,
your entire
does
day.
look
It looks fun. It looks like it's also kind of got the cartoony
Mhm.
like animations and stuff like that, but also kind of realistic.
Mhm.
I think the developer, in my opinion, was probably going for something Fortnite like, where it's like kind of like a cartoony look to it. But also, you got to remember, with all the horrible things going on in the world today, you don't want to make it look too realistic, because then your game is getting criticized and they're trying to pull it, and they're saying that, you know, video games are making people shoot people and all the other craziness.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, like, it would just be nothing but a world full of murderers if that was actually
Yeah, no kidding.
something, you know, with
Yeah.
basis. But that's probably like they probably took all that into effect, and it also probably saved them some money going with this style of animation on the characters and doing more realistic with the guns, because it probably saved them some money, and it probably is going to save them from getting too much flack.
I like
Yeah.
the amount, the weight that the bullets seem to have. Like when
Yes.
they show one little bit in the trailer where there's a guy who's already kind of dead. He's floating towards you, and you continue to shoot him, and that one right there,
Yeah, and he flies backwards. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just continues to impact him, and he's all ragdolled and stuff like that. I like details like that.
Ragdolled. No, but you can certainly see there's inspiration, like John DBZ mentioned in the chat. It looks like GoldenEye, if you remember GoldenEye.
Yeah, a little
Um,
bit.
oh yeah,
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
getting Time Crisis
Good
vibes. I think Nas mentioned John Woo. I can also see Max Payne vibes. I don't know why
Yes.
I'm getting Max Payne vibes as well. Bit of
bullet time.
Bioshock. So I don't know. It's you
Max
can see
Payne, I
like
can
it's
see that. Yeah.
you can see an inspiration. Like you can see
Yeah.
those games probably inspired
Yeah.
to this one.
Very
That's
nice.
fun.
Sure.
though.
Yes, 100%. All very good. All very good. Right on. So, I mean, I can't wait. This one's gonna be freaking awesome to splice up because it looks so
Yeah.
good. He has very great
Mhm.
commentary on that one. Oh, but with that, so I mean, we got the art style out of the way. So overall, is this? I mean, if you had a VR headset, I don't have one, so and this
I
isn't-
don't either.
This isn't going to make me go out and get a VR because they're like what $500. So it's like
What?
Yeah,
No
they're
way.
pretty expensive, dude. Here, now you got me second guessing.
It's-
It
Yeah,
might
it's-
be, it might be $299 or $399 for the PSVR.
Oh, but even so, that's bloody hell. You
There's
haven't even
there's
walked
different
talking about
VRs,
it,
but like with the PlayStation one, I think they're by far the cheapest. I think.
So we've got a MetaQuest. It's at $499, and then the PSVR 2 is at $549, and then there's one for $449. Oh, and here's one for $399. How about that? So, and I guess
If I had a VR headset, the game on Steam anyway costs $17.50 in Canada dollars. Yeah, I would get this
yeah, right on
for sure. It just
Okay.
looks like fun. I don't know if there's a story involved in this, and I don't care. It just looks like, hey, you know what? I've got a couple people over. We're gonna have some drinks. We're gonna see how each one does. We're gonna
That's
watch. I think this will be fun. Yeah, for that.
I've always been one that like I mean I would get too sick, so I can't play them anyway. But I always imagine myself as you see the kids with the VR and the one that like jumps and lands straight on his face because he's playing VR. I feel like that would be me.
I've never played VR ever.
I haven't. I've only ever like tried it out once, and it was weird and jarring, and I didn't really have much time to get used to it.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to
I
see
think
what the
closest thing I've
variation
come to
is.
it-
Oh, okay. So this one, so you got $399, and then this $449 one from Walmart is on $100 discount right now. I think the base price is $549. That's at least that's what I'm taking from this. Anyway, that's a lot of money to
still
be
wild,
dropping.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
lot of money to drop.
It's like a console itself.
Exactly,
mhm.
exactly. And I mean, God bless them for keeping making games for the PSVR 2, because golly, it just feels like they're not showing enough love. They're not getting enough games on the VR 2 to kind of, make you want to buy it. You know what I mean? To justify buying that, to pick it up.
It's definitely niche.
Yes.
Still.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I remember as a kid, I remember thinking VR is definitely the future of gaming, but just it's too expensive. The barrier to entry is just too much right now.
Mhm.
If it was more affordable, I would have been picked one up. Heck yeah.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that Ready Player One style,
Ugh, God. Could
where you
stand
got
that
the
movie.
bodysuit and you can. Feel it
I need to
all.
watch that movie. I've never seen it. That is on my list. I need to watch that movie. And
I
I
mean,
can't find it anywhere.
You don't.
Scotty,
You don't.
Scotty,
You don't really
we're
need to
gonna-
watch it. It's not that
We're
good.
gonna get into a Discord and we'll watch it together because you can share
Hilarious.
everything on there.
You know what? I would
Right.
do that because I feel like it'd be fun to watch it with you guys. But it's basically Member Berries the movie.
You remember? I remember. I love
Pretty
that.
much. That's it. It's Member Berries the movie.
Member
I don't know. I
was-
loved it. It was great. It was like you got to see like Michael Jackson callback, the
Oh, cool.
hand grenade. You got to see all
Yes.
sorts of stuff.
It-
It was like a pop culture like in your face bam.
You know
Right
what
on.
movie I think did a better job of being like a Member Berry movie,
Hmm.
but actually having like a, I don't want to say, it didn't really have like a super big plot, but Free Guy.
Oh,
Free
Guy
Guy
was
that
was
was dope.
amazing.
Yes.
I
so
like that
good.
a lot more than Ready Player
You
One.
need to watch it, Scotty. I swear we're gonna start having video game movie weeks.
Yeah, just have a movie night.
Right? Yeah.
It's okay, so it's like GTA and Fortnite and all that like mixed into one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
and you've got
pretty
and
good.
you're following this video game character
An
that's an
NPC.
NPC,
Yeah.
and he has no idea.
He's like, these guys just
just
come and tear
sort
up
of-
our town. That's just how it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's just the premise is, I think he's just an NPC in a video game, and then something happens and he becomes a player, but he's not controlled by anybody.
Right.
So
He's
he's
a
a
free guy.
bug, and he's able to exploit
It's
the
so
game
great.
elements because he's wearing these glasses that allow him to see like power-ups and weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's fun.
It
It's
is.
It's like-
It's a lot of
it's
fun.
stupid, but it's fun.
It's just the most hilarious. It's got my favorite dude in the world.
Which one?
It's got Ryan
Oh. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh,
he's
okay, fair
a lot of women's favorite dude.
He's
You know?
A lot of guys too, because they love
it's how
Deadpool.
hilarious he is. But he's like,
Right.
they were like, the whole premise is like everybody in the game that's a player has sunglasses
Mhm.
because that's how they're seeing their world, right? And so they're like, we don't talk to the sunglasses people. Like, and then he's like, he sees someone that he wants to interact with that
Oh.
has sunglasses, so he
Oh,
goes
yeah.
to take sunglasses, and once he puts them on, he's like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think he's talking to this person, then they die horrifically, and the glasses are still
yeah,
there. Or
he's like, I
whatever.
just need to borrow your glasses real quick. Just give them to me. And he's like holding the gun, and it shoots the player, and he's like, and they're like, he's just taking a nap. He goes, a nap? He's dead. He goes, so sleepy.
Yeah,
What
the
movie is
glasses
it
are
called?
like in
It's called Free Guy.
Mhm.
Free Guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
And
Yes,
it's got Ryan
it's
Reynolds on the cover.
hilarious.
Okay. All right.
Right
Okay.
on.
Okay.
But we could do that. We could do like we could watch Ready Player One, and then we can watch Free
Yeah.
Guy. Compare and contrast.
And I own both of them, so we're good.
Yeah. Player One. I remember seeing this was years ago. I remember seeing like the advert for it, and I just saw all these Easter eggs.
Mhm.
I think I saw. I could be wrong. There were
The Easter
Mario
eggs are
Kart,
like-
Halos. Yeah, I saw all
Yeah.
these games,
Yep.
and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, what is this?"
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Don
like
GBC just also brought up Pixels, which is
Oh.
a fantastic
yeah.
video game. Adam Sandler had me
Mm.
rolling.
I'm sorry. I
isn't,
did
Peter
not care
Dinklage
for
in
that
that?
one? Yes, he is.
I did not
Yes.
watch it because
Peter-
the trailer
Peter
did
Dinklage.
nothing to convince me to watch that movie.
Okay, so you know his character is based on that one guy that he's a real life guy that like got his record stripped from him for cheating.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yes, I can't remember his name, but that's who Peter Dinklage's character is in that
That's
movie.
hilarious. I didn't care for it though, man. It just seemed so out of pocket. It was
It
like,
was, but I love stuff like that. I'm
Oh,
like,
man.
you know, you get to watch Qbert bouncing on a trampoline.
but
Like,
see,
come on.
but that's the thing is like Easter egg for Easter egg's sake. It doesn't do it for me. It's got to have like, okay, so with Deadpool and Wolverine, it's like Blade and him still being, you know, badass and running through enemies and stuff like that.
Mm.
That kind of thing does it for me. But if it's just, oh, we're going to create this plot of Easter, this is the plot, Easter egg, develop a movie around that. It's like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I thought
Yeah.
it was great because you get this guy who is like obsessed with retro gaming
Mhm.
and gets his heart broken, you know, when he's
Was it-
in a competition. And
was it
so
Billy
then
Mitchell?
He grows up sad. Yeah, I think that was it.
Oh, okay.
He grows up sad, but then like it becomes like a real life video game type thing where they have to play these games and survive, but it's like real lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's
Right on.
just and it's got so many Easter eggs, but the way that
Mm.
they do it to me is hilarious. Like, you know, you got Pac-Man, not a bad guy. I'm your father, and then you get he ate my arm. Like, it's just hilarious.
You know, as far as video game movies,
Mhm.
I don't really like most of them, but there's one that kind of stands out to me, and it's Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It
Yes,
Ralph
very
is
good.
great.
Mhm.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
Scotty, have you seen
That's
that?
pretty good. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that.
I know of
movie.
it, not seen it. I've not
Right
seen
on.
it. No.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Scotty! Even
Okay.
I've seen
I
these
think- yeah,
movies, and I don't
I
watch a
know.
lot of movies. We gotta catch you up, buddy.
I'm making
know,
a
man.
list. It's I feel like
So you-
that guy in Pitch Perfect where you need a movication.
Never heard that term
Movie
before, but I know exactly what it means.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Edge out on
Okay,
the
so
on the
ladies and
couch.
gentlemen, everybody that's watching, you're starting to see the birth of an idea, which is catch Scotty up on movies. We're gonna do a movie night somehow, some way.
Well, yeah. To be fair,
Yeah.
I've only just watched Jeepers Creepers yesterday with the girlfriend.
Ooh,
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
seen that before. So I like those type of movies where it's just like, you know what?
Alright.
Let me just
That one
give me a
I'm gonna-
backlog of movies. And I'll watch
You know
it.
what? I'm just going to get my passport, and I'll see you in a few weeks.
right on.
See you in a bit. See you in a bit.
We have way too much to do.
Yeah. Right on. Should we move into our next? Well, into our first article. We're on the appetizer article still, peripherals.
Yeah.
But just to preface this one, we know Metal Gear Solid 3 is being remade, and as gamers, we're worried about, as fans of the title, we're worried about Konami putting their thumb on there and making all these changes. Now they just come out and kind of stifled a lot of that. They're saying that they're not making too many changes at all. They're just revamping everything, the gameplay and the visuals. So let's get into that real quick, and then we'll discuss.
Yes, sir.
All right, so it says Metal Gear Solid Delta devs say they wanted to be almost too faithful and explain why it's not called a Hideo Kojima game. We know why, because Hideo Kojima is no longer with them, and they have some kind of thing against him. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know what the beef is.
Probably because he left and he took his genius with him.
Well, I mean, they were like what do you call it? They weren't on good terms before that. I think they kind of pushed him out, and I don't know why. I don't know why. If anybody in the chat could definitely, catch me
I
on
don't
that.
think anyone knows, because I think the fallout was around the latest Metal Gear Solid game. Was it Metal Gear Solid 5? I'm gonna say.
Yeah. What was it? It was
it's called
Phantom
again.
Pain.
Phantom Pain, yeah, because
Yeah.
a lot of people were saying the game seemed unfinished, and that's when Kojima left.
Gotcha.
So I think something might happen
Okay.
there. I don't know why, but yeah, I think it happened around that period.
All right.
The
Shoot,
safest bet to me is always money, some form or another. Maybe he wanted to make a game that fit his vision, and the studio just said, "We want it to make money. Find a way to work in microtransactions or something."
Oh gosh.
I don't know. I'm speculating, obviously,
Yeah.
because I don't know anything. I have still never played a Metal Gear Solid game. Sorry, but
That's okay.
usually
So
whenever
I gotta go to Canada too. My
I
list
can't
is
do it.
growing.
eventually Mega Man Mondays will become Metal Gear Mondays and Metroid Mondays.
Oh my gosh, no. that's not
Eventually, I
fair.
still have like so many games to work through. But anyway,
Yeah.
That's fine.
Did
Usually-
you see the reaction, Noah? Did you see everyone's reaction at the same time? That works.
I know.
That works.
I've got
Okay.
years.
fair
I've
enough.
got years to watch and listen to you. No, it's
But what I was saying though is stuff like this almost always comes down to either money or control,
Mhm.
one
Right
form
on.
or another. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if it's some
If-
variant of that.
We've seen a
I'm being
Metal Gear
honest.
game. Oh, go for it, Scotty. Sorry.
Sorry, folks. No, it's all right. I was going to say, I think it's the latter. I think it's control. The reason why I say that is because Kojima did a game, Death Stranding, as you guys
Mm.
probably heard,
oh,
and I
it's-
think not the latest Sony trailer or conference, but the one before that. Do you remember Kojima said he's working on something which is the next big IP? Do you remember that? And
yeah, and
this is-
Sony was like, "You take as long as you want."
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Support
And when
everything.
and
Yeah.
could be wrong, but that to me spoke volumes. That told me, right, we're letting you, Kojima, take control of your game, and you do whatever you want to do with it. And
Well,
that
see,
screamed a
that's-
lot to me personally.
That's one
Right on.
reason that I do love PlayStation Studios, and I feel like their games are so successful is because they do let
Mhm.
their people just kind of go
Yeah.
with it.
Like creative freedom, right?
Yeah, the only thing
Yeah.
I've seen
No.
similar to that with Xbox was the Hellblade 2. The way that they let them go and have all this creativeness and how hard they worked and how long they took on that game. I felt like Xbox really gave them a lot of leeway and a lot of creative,
give me
To
1
that
second.
point though, to that point, Gigi, that may not always work. That may work against against the publisher, because yeah, there are certain studios, there are certain developers that you can give that level of control to, where they won't abuse it, where they will be able to govern themselves and release a finished product that is what customers want in an orderly time, like on time, on budget. Some people can work within those confines. Other people, they need the restrictions.
Oh no, I agree. I'm one of those that I would need the restrictions, because me and my ADHD brain would be like, la, 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 la.
Yeah, scope. What's that?
Yeah, and I'd be like, wait, what was I doing? Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I don't make video games.
Right on. Let's get into the article and then we'll discuss it after. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Right, guys.
That's
A
right.
faithful remake of a beloved game, like in the case of Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, can be tricky. Finding the balance between retaining. I'm out of breath. I'm sorry. Retaining.
Sorry, bud.
Breathe.
No, it's okay. We're just special bubble. Blah. Let's where are we? Hold on. My daughter. Hold on. But I honestly can't find anything that's like really like the same logic applies to crits, blah blah blah. Yeah, no. Okay, so they're not changing the game.
Well, there's what they
Which is
say,
good.
there's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see when it comes out, but I've been following this for a little bit, and from what I'm hearing, they're not going to be bringing the original voice actors in. They're going to be using the voices from the original game,
Yeah.
which seems
Yeah, I
really
like that.
cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't give them a job, but some of those guys aren't with us anymore, so that kind of makes sense. But to be honest, I
Although
wouldn't have minded some of them being
As
replaced.
long as they or their families get residuals from it, then
Actually, that is a good sign. I take that as a good sign. If you're not
Mm.
re-recording the voice lines and you're just reusing the voice lines from before, it's likely that they're
Mhm.
not changing anything to do with the story.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to re-record like brand new dialogue.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Right on. So I'm super excited about this. I remember when it was when the trailer first dropped, or the teaser, it sent me into a whirlwind of emotions. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I can't believe
Yeah.
that
Top
they're-
5.
Yeah.
Top 5. Yeah. Yeah. It's in my top 5. It's in my top 5.
Oh yeah. They can't. I don't mind them doing like a Resident Evil approach or a Final Fantasy approach. Just do the whole catalog. Konami they stand to make a ton of money from this.
Yes.
Especially with
I'm not a fan of the
Kojima
idea of them
video.
breaking up one game into multiple pieces, though.
No,
Like what they've done with FF7.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mm.
right on. But I don't know what that workload would look like. But they've changed some of the story too, from what I've heard. I watched a friend of mine play Final Fantasy VII. I never got a chance to play it myself, which see, we're kind of in the same camp. You haven't played a Metal Gear Solid game. I haven't played a Final Fantasy. Well, I've played Final Fantasy games, but just not Final Fantasy VII, one of the most iconic ones, or even the most iconic. But yeah, no, freaking
Well, that's a matter of some debate.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I just know that there are people that will.
Yeah, right on. No worries. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm glad they're not changing anything. And
Mhm.
question for you guys. So
Yeah.
with the remake, do you prefer, or a remake? Do you prefer if they stay as close to the original as possible, or do you mind if they take some creative liberties with the property?
Well, this one's easy for me to answer. I would prefer a remaster.
Okay.
Update the textures, update, some of the graphics, but don't change anything else.
Right on. Yeah, I'm in that same camp. GG.
Mm.
For me, it's hard. Like I definitely think that they need to keep it as close to the original as possible. I prefer on some things, I'm like, give it just the remaster treatment, and then on other stuff, I'm like, if you could change something and make it flow better or make more sense or something like that, like you know, it might be cool. I'm one of the few rare people that actually liked Resident Evil 3 remake, and it was 100% different. You know? But it just, I think it for me, it just depends on the game, and like,
Okay.
you know, when I'm really invested in something, I don't want to see it changed a ton. You know, like go ahead and reanimate it and stuff like that. But you know, you can make some improvements or some tweaks here and there. But I want to see and experience what I did before, but better.
Okay. Right on. Scotty.
Yes, sir. I was just making notes on this, funny enough, in case it left. It's a new thing I do now. I write notes so I can help myself, remind myself. It's an interesting one, and you will see why I've written notes on it. It's one of those because obviously you want to keep the story the same because it's the same game you remember. I think graphics obviously would be great if they were overhauled to match the current gen's graphics, if you will. Keep the original soundtrack that you enjoyed. Make the controls, how can I say, adjust the controls so it's modern as well.
Yes.
Because you know, like back in the day, I think with the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games, like the camera angles for me was always a bit tricky sometimes because you couldn't see behind you couldn't see to your left, to your right, or in front. So I think if they could adjust the camera angles, that'd be great. But at the same time, would the price tag be justifiable that you are just playing a game which you remember from back in the day,
right?
Paying $50, £50 for the game, and it's like, oh, I'm just playing the same game, but the graphics have just been enhanced. It has to be justifiable, I think. But at the 100%. Same time, you might want to support the products. You might want to support the franchise. So, yeah, I'm on the fence. Long story short.
So it's always important to remember that when you buy a game that on release, you are guaranteeing yourself to buy the most expensive version of that game.
That's true. Yeah. Oh yeah. In buggy, all the stuff that comes with being the first on the scene.
In Metal Gear Solid's case, I'm a fanboy, so I will buy it, and it's in my top 5, so I will buy it. Question though, Frog.
Yes.
So, are Konami giving credit to Kojima at all on this game?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Because that's interesting.
The malice runs deep with those guys.
Yeah.
Because that's the interesting piece, isn't it? It's like, right, so when you release this game, are you going to give him any credit at all? So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, no,
especially if it's not like a complete overhaul of the original.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like to me, games like Resident Evil 4 remake, it had enough changes that it was, and the graphics obviously, you know, and the gameplay, but it also kept so much similar, you know. So I mean that I liked because it's like you have this different stuff, but you have so much of the similar stuff. To me, it's the best remake they've ever done.
Yeah,
you know. So I kind of like that they put in something new and tweaked certain things to kind of make it flow better or be better. In their opinion, but they kept it so close to the original. No, get off my computer, thank you. They kept it so close to the original that it was just like a whole new experience with that same game.
Yeah,
and that's the stuff that I think we as gamers are wanting. We want it similar enough, but like go ahead and do that change that you think might have worked better, but you couldn't do it because of the technology at the time, or however.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if like Kojima himself wanted to make changes to PlayStation to Metal Gear Solid 3, and I honestly don't know if I would be down with that because it's not the experience that I remember, you know.
Yeah.
And even if it's coming from Kojima, you know what I mean? It's kind of like whenever you watch a movie and you know, you make up this premise or whatever, and the director comes out, it's like, oh yeah, it was totally different. This is what I was going for with this. Like, it's hard for me to kind of, warp, break down what I thought he was trying to say and then accept what it is he was actually trying to push through. You know what I mean? Okay, sorry. Come go with me, right? So the perfect example is when the Last Ronin, and reading up on it, Michelangelo, gifted fighter, he's just goofy. And then with his brothers being slain, he had to rise to his actual potential. And come to find out, I want to say is Peter Laird, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the name.
Yeah. And Peter Laird came out and said, "Oh no, we chose Mikey just because he's the underdog." And I was like, "Well, that sucks." Just because, right?
What?
It's
yeah.
it's
Wish I didn't hear that. Oh,
right.
no, erase it.
It takes away some meaning, especially to the fans.
Exactly. So
yeah,
it's a much less compelling storyline, and that's how I feel about some movies. And then if Kojima had some things he wanted to put in the game, but it just kind of just takes away from the experience that I had originally with it. You know what I mean? But that's just me. I might be
agree.
Whatever.
I agree, but then it makes you believe. So do you not buy this game just to preserve that memory you had of the game? Do you leave it alone because you want to keep that memory sacred?
That is a very good question.
That is a very good question, because sometimes you'll come to the end of a TV show that you really, really, really love, and there'll be like a couple of episodes left, and you just don't want to watch them because in your mind you don't want them to screw up the ending.
Oh yeah.
Or you want to just have a little bit more
yeah.
that you can go back to. The show's never really finished for you until you watch those last 2 episodes.
Game of Thrones. I know a lot of people were.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop, I will not watch the last 2 episodes. I'll watch episode 1 through 24, but 25 and 26, no, I won't.
Right.
I was
That's
upset
fair.
at the ending of Game of Thrones, so let's not bring that up.
Game of Thrones is a different story.
They squatted it anyway. Very good, dude. Freaking hand clap. That was wonderful. Moving into I want to say this is our last peripheral. Then we'll get into our main stories after this. But the creator of Days Gone, worked with Ben Studios, and I want to say he was the creative director on it. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't played it. Skip ahead. This is in reference to Astrobot and characters that are included. You might have just got tipped off by it, but Deacon was included in Astrobot, and he has some choice words to say. We'll look at his tweet first. And he responded to someone. It was pretty brutal. I don't know why he decided to go after this guy like he did, but let's get into that real quick, and then we'll get into the article.
Maybe he hadn't had dinner.
Yeah, he might have
Maybe
been
he
hungry.
maybe he needed a Snickers.
Yeah. He needed a snack.
But this is the original tweet by Ben Studio. Says his job is beach. Big congrats to our friends at Team Asobi on the launch of Astrobot. And you got Deacon in the background. It says, kind of sad that Deke has been reduced to promoting other games. Well done, Ben Studio. Way to protect your legacy. And then we've got Gabriel down here. It says, calm down, my brother. It's not because Sony doesn't have the prestige in producing Days Gone 2 that you need to be harsh with the entire studio like that. You're the creative director of the game. You brought this character to life. Don't keep that magic stored away. And I assume he means make another game, which would be awesome. Here. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to use this. How to use Twitter. Yep, I lost it. Oh, here we go. Come on, buddy, where you at? I thought he would have been the top one.
I never
Whatever.
played Days Gone. That's
I planned on it, but in his response was kind of it was kind of brutal. I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, let's move into this article. This one is coming from Forbes by Paul Tassi. Days Gone creative director upset Deacon is in Astrobot. I'm gonna try to skip all the fluff. It says Gavin goes on to say he doesn't know Astrobot, and while he wishes them well, he doesn't want to be at the expense of Days Gone. That something he's created is used again as a shield to promote product. He spends a number of other tweets fighting with people pushing back on that. It's truly a bizarre take, as Astrobot is clearly meant to be a lighthearted tribute to the entire history of PlayStation and acknowledging each game with thought and an honor, not stealing IP to promote itself. And ultimately that's where I come down on it. I totally get where he's coming from, because, you know, as much as he was pushing for a Days Gone 2, and as much as fans, and from what I understand, it sold pretty well, but they still wouldn't give him 2. So he's super salty about that.
Which is understandable.
Doing
So,
a little bit more reading on this, it looks like the decision not to make a Days Gone 2 is portfolio based, which makes sense when you consider that they have The Last of Us, they have The Last of Us Part 2, which is already a zombie game, and then the show that's coming out around that. Maybe they're worried that creating a Days Gone sequel, and if that gets a lot of fanfare, it will rob from The Last of Us. So
Maybe.
I can
That's
see that being a reason, not one I agree with.
right.
Or they're worried that the show and the popularity and everything like that will take away from a second one, and it won't do as well because everybody's focused on this.
Or it may cause confusion. People might think they're in the same world because they're from the same publisher.
I know Astrobot has always been just so fun for me, because it's like the little game that you get to play to introduce you to every new system that PlayStation has. And you get to live through the history of PlayStation so far, but they're always so short and just gone. And honestly, like, when I saw the previews for this, like, I saw characters like Aloy from Horizon and stuff like that, and it just seemed like they were really just like promoting other games through this game, not trying to hype this game up by using other IPs. In my opinion, that's how it felt to me, because I know the Astro games. I know that they're all about celebrating PlayStation, and instead of just celebrating PlayStation, now they're bringing in the games that are making PlayStation. To me. So,
are Days Gone and Last of Us under the same hood? So are they both Sony exclusives?
I think so, and they're both done by Naughty Dog, which is owned by PlayStation.
Oh, right. So you guys make a very, very good point. So
Ben Studios created Days Gone.
Yeah, that's right. Ben Studio.
Oh, okay.
Naughty Dog did Last of Us.
They're all under Sony, right? Yeah. So you guys made a good point, because it's like music artists. If you have 2 popular or 3 popular music artists on the one record label, you're not going to push them out at the same time, because it's an internal rivorry.
Gotcha.
So maybe that's the reason. So you can understand.
I get it, and I get why he's upset about it. I would have loved to see, you know, fans of this franchise get a second game. You know, that would be awesome. I get their reasoning, but I stand with the fans. I truly believe that they could have made it work, especially if there are a bunch of fans calling for a second entry to this game. And I think, especially after Concord, they could have used a Days Gone 2. You know what I mean? So it's,
even just the announcement would have given them some goodwill, probably.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or Bloodborne. Everybody's clamoring for Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Bloodborne was a good one.
So Bloodborne and a Days Gone 2. They need to get on.
But no,
those.
Instead we'll release the PS5 Pro.
We'll get there. Hold on. That's about to knock my microphone over. Get there. Hold on.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
Nas is trying to rile everybody up today.
Yeah.
I actually have some not negative things to say about the PS5 Pro.
Okay, I can't wait to hear that one. But
not a lot, but there's some.
Some not negative.
Well, I mean, then why wait? Here, let's get into.
It scares me how he said that, because he didn't say I actually have some good things to say.
Whoops.
He had to go scary about it. Like, I have some not negative things to say. Like,
well, not negative
they're
could just be like
neutral.
completely objective statements. I could just say PS5 Pro is an upcoming console sold by Sony. That's not negative. It's factual. It's objective. But no. Sorry. I guess we'll get into that now.
Yes, we will.
Nice.
So, $700 price tag for PlayStation 5 Pro. Specs look good. It is an upscale, but at what cost? You know, it seems like a cost to reputation most of all. But let's get into the article. And I'll comment on this here in a second, but PS5 Pros come from IGN at $700. Lack of competition made it an easier decision for Sony to run with higher price. This is coming by Wesley Yenpool, and I have to say, before we get into commenting, that is on one hand. The one hand is, lack of competition. But anyway, perhaps the biggest talking point for the Sony's PS5 Pro reveal is its price. At $700 and without a disc drive or stand, PS5 Pro has sparked vociferous debate online about whether Sony is justified in setting such a high price for the mid-gen upgrade. According to one prominent analyst, there are a number of factors that have contributed to Sony going for $700 and relatively even higher in Europe and Japan. But Pierce Harding-Rolls, a games industry analyst at Ampere, I hope I pronounced that right, said the PS5 Pro pricing reflects Sony's adjusted strategy to protect its margin. That is, it's unwilling to sell consoles at a loss. Supply chain inflation and, crucially, a lack of direct competitor to its mid-cycle upgrade compared to last generation where Microsoft was preparing the Xbox One X. The lack of competition means it is an easier decision for Sony to run with a higher price point to protect its existing margins. Harding Rules added, for most prospective PS5 consumers, the standard edition will represent the value sweet spot. It's worth digging into this point during the last gen. Okay. But just real quick, I'll try to be fast with this, but on one hand, it is the lack of competition that I see from Xbox. Xbox is taking a look at their numbers and they're at least double or maybe even triple the numbers of what Xbox consoles have sold. So I think that is a factor, definitely a factor in that. It reminds me of PS3 era, where they, get to a point where they feel like you're just going to buy it, right? On one hand. On the second hand, everything costs more. There's global inflation. They have to pay more for the components. And unfortunately, that stuff gets passed on to the consumer. And then on the third hand is the hubris, the absolute hubris that they feel like we are Sony PlayStation. And if we make this console $800, people are going to buy it. And that is an important point. It is not coming with a disc drive. You have to buy that separately. So it pushes it to almost $800 if you want physical discs. I think this is a combination of the three, maybe. I can't tell which one has who has that top position as far as this goes. All I will say is that it's not a good thing, especially where the economy is around the world, to come out with a $700 console. People will find an alternative, and I think Sony's going to run into that. I don't think they're going to sell as many consoles now. But go ahead.
I'm
Sorry.
not happy about it. It would have been different if it was the $7 or $7.99, whatever it is, with a disk drive, with all the upgraded NVIDIA GPUs, the graphical processing unit, and all that.
Right.
Bigger hard drives, already in there, etc.
And then the AI upscaling that they did.
Yeah, the AI, upscaling and everything. It would have been different had that come out with a disc. But then you give us this huge price tag, tell us that you can do a disc, but it's like the Slim without the disc and you have to buy it separate. Horrible. One, we could hardly get PS5s to begin with because supply chain.
Yes.
Then you had people hoarding them and then selling them at extreme prices.
Yep.
They're doing that with the drives right now.
They are, yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Nas told me that they have like the drives going for insane amounts on eBay right now.
And just a quick point, I'm sorry, Gigi, but they haven't found out whether that's a scalper thing or if it's just that a popular where people are just pre-ordering the disc drives.
Yeah.
So we don't know quite yet whether this is a scalper, the movement of the scalpers, or if it's actual hype for PlayStation 5 Pro. But go ahead, Gigi, sorry.
True. And I'm not sure which one it is, but I'm just saying I feel like whichever one it is, if it's not malicious or whatever, eventually it will turn into that,
Let's hope not.
which is unfortunate because you
Yeah.
see people being like, oh, I found a way to make money off of this, and
Yeah.
you know, because this is popular. For me,
Mhm.
8K, watching just the TV,
Mhm.
like, just almost made me sick. I was like, it's too much. I can't handle it. Like, you know, I'm starting to feel dizzy, queasy, my eyes hurt, and getting a
Mhm.
headache. I couldn't imagine trying to play a video game
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
8K. Like, you know, like, we're pretty hyper realistic just with 4K as it is.
Well, yeah.
And so, like, we keep pushing for better, for more, for this and that, and that's fine. But at some point, we're gonna have to realize, like, we've hit that sweet spot. We're good here,
Right.
you know. Instead of trying to one up everything.
Now,
I
GG,
agree.
We were
the-
talking about this earlier, Gigi. I think it's almost a compulsion for them at this point.
Mhm.
They have to keep promising bigger and better because what else are they going to do?
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to be able to. We're going to get to a console upgrade where there is no visual difference for anybody.
Mhm.
So
And I'm not gonna lie, I
Yep.
think we've hit that. The diminishing returns with this. If you
Yeah.
don't, like you said, if you don't have a $2,000 TV to go along with this, you're not seeing those upgrades. In the law of diminishing returns, I think we're hitting the spot where things look good enough to where any incremental upgrade you won't be able to notice. You won't be able to notice it. Now, go
I
ahead.
just had a
Sorry,
thought.
Yeah.
Do you think Microsoft knew that?
With
They
what?
Do you
might
think
have.
that's one of the reasons why they're getting out of the physical? I mean, they haven't announced it officially, but we've speculated a few times that they're getting looks like they're making their way out of the physical console market.
Mm,
Do you think
Holy
maybe they
maybe.
saw the writing on the wall before Sony did?
that
Maybe.
makes so
It's
much
very
sense.
possible.
Yeah, it's instead of like trying to push forward with technology, even though what's her name, Sarah Bond came out and said this next console is going to be the biggest leap forward in technology.
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't mean anything.
Right,
You-
exactly.
Quantify that for me, please. Like,
There's-
what does that mean?
There's getting
Yeah.
faster with video game load times and looking realistic and all this other stuff. At some point, there's going to be, this is good enough. This is the plateau. This is where we're going to stay for a while.
Right,
And,
exactly right. Yeah.
And so Sony already saw some hurt with the PSVR 2,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
because it had enough differences. The only selling point for the PSVR 2 for me, and I don't already have a PSVR, was that they had worked harder on the motion sickness part of it.
Mhm.
Now, women suffer more motion sickness in VR than men do.
Yeah.
So, and I have it just playing regular video games. I had to like take years of building myself up. And so that was like a big selling point to me, more so than anything else. However, it didn't sell better.
Mhm.
It wasn't enough.
The cat's going crazy.
Yeah, he just jumped onto my son's chair, and I was like, oh God, please don't fall off.
There's a lot of interesting parts about this. And Fox, you said people will find an alternative, and you're absolutely right.
Mhm.
And part of the alternative is just wait for Sony to release the same games on PC.
There you go. Yes.
This is the part that doesn't make any sense to me. You've got an $800 US console, or sorry, $700 US console, which in Canada is going to be closer to $1,000.
Mhm.
Plus, you still have to buy the stand because
Yes. Oh no.
You have to buy the stand as well.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
the
yeah,
stand
yeah.
is sold separately.
Yep.
Wow, Fox, can you comment on that, please?
Oh, that's right. I got it.
It's PlayStation 3 era hubris. It feels like this is what it feels like to me.
It's so silly.
I wasn't pleased when I heard about this week. I was just like, they done lost their dang minds. Like, we can hardly buy groceries, let alone a freaking PS5 Pro.
Exactly.
The hubris, like I can understand if but the part about it that I don't get is they're saying, well, part of the reason we went with this pricing strategy is because we don't have as much competition. It's like, you do, you just don't see it, you fools.
Right.
You are
And that's
competing
what I
against
think it is.
yourself.
Yeah,
for one.
they are their own competition.
You are your own competition because you are also releasing these games on PC. And for the people that are not going to buy the PS5 Pro because either it's too much money, there's not enough reason to upgrade, or they don't see the difference, they're going to play your games on PC if they really, really want to.
Yeah.
So you're
Now-
competing against yourself. you didn't see the competition coming from the console market because right now it isn't there. But you didn't see it coming from all sources because you're idiots.
They think they're in competition with Xbox, and I feel like this decision was made solely with them in mind. They thought it was back in the mid 2000s or early 2000s. Is what the PS4 came out in 2012 or something like that, right? Or am I?
I don't remember.
I'm bad with dates.
I'm so old. You're lucky I remember last week.
That sounds about right.
The PS4 or PS4 Pro?
PS4.
I wanna say the PS4. It probably was around 2012. Oh no.
North America's 2013.
Okay.
No, I think it was. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it was later because 2012 was different.
Right on.
Actually, released later
but
in Japan.
I kind of remember like.
Oh, that's crazy.
Based on my son's age.
Yeah.
And what he was playing and when he was playing it. So.
Real quick, I want you guys. We're gonna take a look at this, and I want you to tell me if you see any difference whatsoever. Right.
No.
Now, GG. Let's give it a chance.
Take a look at this. Now,
not enough of one.
Exactly. A little bit of upscaling, but no.
I'm not looking at blades of grass while I'm playing a game. I mean, if you're going to show me the disingenuous part of this is they're showing off the difference in graphics, but are you paying attention to all the different lighting elements while you're playing a game, while you're outrunning zombies?
It might immerse you a little bit more, but like again, the upscaling is just not enough to justify getting this console. It's not enough. It's just not. If we're going from PS3 to like PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, that was a very noticeable increase. But PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5,
you said it yourself. You said it yourself, Fox.
It wasn't super noticeable between PS4 and PS5.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is more beautiful on the PS5. I'm not gonna lie.
Right on. Yeah.
But you also I didn't just buy the PS5. I bought a new Sony TV that also helped it
exactly
look better.
So if you're not willing to invest all that money, then but go ahead. Sorry, Gigi.
Someone that used to build their own computers and customize computers and stuff like that. It's hard for me to justify going from what we've got to what little they gave us.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I think they're banking on 8K and thinking that that's going to be their major selling point. But how many people have 8K TVs?
Not many, I would assume, because it
would have been smarter almost.
And what were you saying, Nas, about the frames per second?
I don't personally pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Some games probably don't go 60 frames per second.
So it's not going to be a guarantee.
Won't be able to catch it.
Yeah.
I did see an article. Their GTA 6 developers were being asked if this game is going to be able to run in 60 FPS on PS5 Pro, and he said no. So he didn't mince words. He started off with pretty much just saying no, it won't. So what's the incentive? I mean, it's funny you were saying this, Gigi, and it made me think, it probably would have been a better idea to just start off with a bundle and say, hey, you could buy the PS5 Pro and get a brand new Sony 8K Bravia whatever for X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And kind of hide the price of the PS5 Pro inside of that bundle.
I mean, you're probably right.
So,
but for me, it would be here's your $1,500 for a PS5 Pro and this TV,
and the whole the arguments that I'm saying, well, if you take into account inflation, then it's actually, I don't care about inflation. When I'm looking at a price tag, I'm looking, how much is this going to cost me right now in today's dollars, and how much money do I have available? Yeah, okay, sure, you can make the argument that the 3DO was the most expensive system, but I'm not buying a 3DO. That's irrelevant.
Well, the thing is,
today's dollars right now,
exactly,
what's it worth?
So, speaking on that, we've seen this before from Sony, PlayStation 3 era. They made the PlayStation 3 $600 just out of the gate. It was that, and from then, I want to say the PlayStation 4, it was not nearly as much. I want to say it was in the 300s or 400s.
I want to say it was $399 or $499
right, something like that.
And then the PlayStation 5, it out of the gate was $499, and then they had the all digital for $399. and then this just comes out of no. It makes me feel like they're reverting back to a time where they felt like they could just put whatever out and people would just buy it, no questions asked.
Maybe they're trying to go by the strategy of fake it till you make it.
Maybe,
except it doesn't really work in this environment.
I don't know. For me, they were,
mm-hmm.
and I'm just gonna say it, they were ballsy putting that price tag on it without a disc drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even with a disc drive, that was still a stretch. And
100%.
yes, I get inflation. Yes, I get technology costs are more, etc.
Right.
But if you can sell a product for $100 loss, but sell $1 million more than what you originally thought, you're still making
right
money. And not to mention, if you can get new people in on this PS5 Pro, because you put it at an affordable thing, you made it sound super good, like the Gordon Ramsay of freaking gaming, you know what I mean, or whatever, then you would have had a lot more success.
Now, like, with you saying that, like, what do you think? Okay, I had a question for you. So, as far as this, do you think they should have put this out? I think they should have scratched it. They should have.
I don't think they should put this out at all.
I think what happened was they had like a roadmap for this generation, and they didn't want to deviate from it. And the PlayStation Pro was on there, and because of that,
a Pro was a great idea, but
it's this this generation's been just so weird. You know, people haven't been able to get their hands on it until what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
You know, 2 years after it dropped, and then
3 years after it dropped.
And then you throw the Pro in there, and it's like this generation has just been so weird. I think it needs to be extended.
Most people barely got time with
and the games. They don't have enough console selling games for this console.
You know what I mean? Could almost make the argument that the PS5 is a PS4 Pro.
Yeah. True. Oh, that's a very valid point.
Like,
that is.
Like I was telling,
you're still making games for PS4.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. I was telling Nas, you know, when we were first getting there, that when it came, you know, I wanted a bigger hard drive, and I already had external for my PS4, but I wanted that 1 terabyte hard drive. I wanted this and that.
Sorry, Gigi.
I got a second PS4, but I didn't go PS4 Pro. I just bought the 1 terabyte version of the regular PS4, which I still have.
Yeah.
And
I want to say, and to your point, the PS4 Pro only sold like 15 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, their Spider-Man bundle was what sold the most, but it compared to regular PS4, I saw more people, and I could be wrong because the numbers, I don't look at that, but like personally knowing all the gamers that I knew, I don't know one of them other than my daughter and her ex-fiance that had a PS4 Pro. And the reason that she got him a PS4 Pro was because he wanted the Spider-Man bundle.
Scotty, you've been waiting your turn patiently as the resident Xbox guy. What do you think of all this?
Yeah, I've been listening and just soaking it all in. No, in truth, I've been listening, writing notes as you do. But I think, and just throwing it out there, do you think this is a marketing tactic? Do you think it's a tactic to bring the price down, still a high price, but bring it down to a point where fans are like, that's a little bit better, we'll go
right on. That's a great point. They might lower the price, and it's like, oh yeah, now that's a deal. You're getting a deal, so I think I'll buy it.
It could be a tactic because you've seen stuff like that happen before.
Oh yeah.
With other things where they got this flack when they came out, and that could have been.
Yeah, because
I wouldn't put it past Sony to have been like, it's going to be an $800 console, not even having a disc. We're going to put it in 8K just to get hype around it.
Yeah.
Because what was it you said, Nos?
Oh, what? Greed?
Any attention is good attention.
Oh well, not in this case.
Get attention or whatever.
That used to be true, but
yeah, they could have been
not
doing it just
anymore.
To spin up talks about it,
especially before the internet era.
Get everybody to stop talking about Concord.
Yeah, because
this is a terrible Hail Mary.
Hey, Scotty, sorry.
Yeah, because with the marketing, like the marketing is a very powerful thing, very powerful thing, and you must be really silly to just put out a console with that price, not knowing the knock-on effects of it. So I see it in a few ways. I see it they either bring the price down a little bit, fans think, oh, it's a bit better, we'll buy it,
Mhm.
or it pushes fans to say, oh, you know what, I really want a PlayStation 5, I'll just go get the other PlayStation.
Right. Oh shoot.
How,
Yeah.
how much do you think would be a reasonable amount, though, if PS5 Pro was announced and you had to decide the sweet spot where it
Yeah.
wasn't too cheap, wasn't so expensive that they're getting the reaction they're getting now? What do you think would be that sweet spot?
I want to say the PS4 Pro released with a lower price than the base PS4, if I'm not mistaken. And that's what we're expecting, you know, whenever the Pro came out. But let me verify that real quick. Let me just not talk out my behind.
If I'm honest, and personally, it should either be £100 more than the base, or you bring the base down and you put the Pro at the base price it was originally.
That
But-
right there.
There we go.
But
I think that's what they did
we
with
don't know
PS4.
what. Yeah, but we
Right.
don't know what they've promised investors. We don't know what their margins are like. You know what I mean? We don't know, but like that would be justifiable, I think, because as you guys said, in the industry in terms of gaming, I feel like it has plateaued now in terms of graphics. So your next selling point has got to be, for example, games load much faster now with these consoles, much faster. They're instant. What are you going to do next? Right. So I want to create a party chat with one button. I want to have a game installed within seconds.
Yeah.
I want to stream with no lag. That's got to be the next
Right.
wave of things. Because graphics, I think, as we've just seen,
Yeah.
that's gone now.
Yeah.
We've got to that point.
Yeah, it's incremental stuff. It's so small that you
Yeah.
can't even notice it. But the PS5 Pro or PS4 Pro, it released at the same price as the PlayStation 4 base price, at least according to this.
Yeah,
this
it launched
right
at
here.
$399, and at the time they'd already moved on to the PS4 Slim,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
that was $299
Yeah,
at the
see,
time.
So-
So the current
But
price for the
but
PS5
Mhm.
is
PS4 I think launched at $399.
the current price for the
Yes.
PS5. The digital console is $449 US.
Mhm.
The console that includes the drive is $499.
Yeah.
I think maybe even going like $549 or even
That's fair.
$599. It's a little too much, but would have
Mhm.
been better for the PS5 Pro. But to go
$599
$200
with
bucks
a disc
more?
drive
Right.
Yeah.
would have
Yeah,
been
wild.
reasonable
Yeah.
in my book.
Right
And
on.
the stand.
Yeah.
And the stand.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But-
honestly, like $699 wouldn't. I think you guys were saying it earlier. Wouldn't have been bad if what it came with was worthwhile. Like if you get, instead of one controller, you get two controllers. You
Mhm.
get
Yeah.
the stand.
Yeah,
You get
yeah,
the
yeah.
drive.
Yes.
You get a year or two of PS Plus
Yeah.
Essential, whatever. Like you
Yeah.
just add to that bundle. If you're going to charge that price, if you have to charge that price, then load it up with as much stuff as you can to incentivize people buying it. But you're
Mm.
charging people $700 as to start with,
Yeah, 'cause
and
I'm
there's
not gonna
no
lie,
games that are really going to take advantage of it currently.
Exactly.
You're right. You're right. But
Yeah.
even with Xbox, like the fact that it comes with 3 months of the top tier Game Pass, like that's huge.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think Noel said it earlier. Sorry, Noel. Sorry.
No,
You were saying that.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, you said it earlier. I think you said they're their own competition, so they're dictating the market at the minute. It's like I don't know if you guys follow Formula One, but it's a racing sport. I don't know if you call it a sport, but
Yeah.
So if you're leading the race, you're dictating the pace. So if
Mhm.
you go in the pit stop first, the person behind you needs to react and do something. Well, they can't do much because you're dictating the pace.
Right.
So Sony have probably seen it as right. We are the leading market individuals at the minute.
Right.
We're setting this price tag, and we just want to. Is everyone okay?
My cat jumped across, and then he saw my other cat was there and tried to hiss at him and hit him, and I just kind of went like this to him, and he's very jumpy, and he like flew like onto the other desk and knocked everything down.
Oh,
I can't stop laughing.
That was the reaction of the PlayStation first.
no.
That,
Yeah.
You see,
I found out what the price was, and then
bro, wham!
700 what?
I don't think so. That'll take away my wet food.
I actually came up with a list of people that because one thing I don't like seeing online is when is certain people attacking other people for saying that they're interested in buying it. And
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think that's necessary.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
issue
no.
is with Sony. It's not with other gamers,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
But I
100%.
have
Almost 95% of the way people treat other people for saying something online is
Truth.
just uncalled for.
a little much.
It's extremes. Yeah. It's extremes.
But I came up with a quick list of people that would be, I think, would have legitimate reasons for buying a PS5 Pro. And number one, if you have a, if you're not invested in the PlayStation system and you want to buy something that you think is going to be a little bit future proof, it's kind of a gamble, but PS5 Pro, okay, let's say that's option number one. Number two, I don't know, prestige, because some people, you're going to have an item in your inventory, something that you own that most people won't have, and then you can say, "Ooh, I've got a PS5 Pro." Not a great reason, but a reason, right? And banking on there eventually being a good justification for having one. Again, it's a gamble. It kind of goes back to the first point. And the last one is maybe they're spending somebody else's money, and they really don't like that person.
Yeah. Right.
So they're trying to find ways to be intentionally wasteful. I don't know. That's all I could come up with on short notice.
Right on.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know, if I was like back in the day, you know,
I mean, we bought the PlayStation 3. I did anyway. Yeah.
We'll use the Wii U as an example. So they had one, or the Wii or whatever. One of them was like a base model, and one of them was like more of a pro type. You know, it had more to it. So we'll just use that. My dad bought it for me for Christmas, so I totally went for the top one. Like, you know, let's be honest, you know, like
okay.
But for me, stuff like, okay, we've got the DualSense, which is the original controller that came with the PS5, and we have the Edge. Now, the Edge does not have the battery life that the DualSense has, and the DualSense has horrible battery life as it is. Are they outselling the other controllers? Because PlayStation, you need to kind of look at what you've done here. You've already made a pro type controller, and it is not even doing half the sales as your DualSense regular controller is. So maybe reevaluate this PS5 Pro stuff.
Yeah, right on. Well, with that,
I would have loved to have been in the meetings for this, but no.
Yeah, same. But we're gonna move on to the industry layoffs in the ex-president of Europe, Sony Europe. We're gonna get into his comments, and I want you guys to tell me what you think about this. I personally, I'm blown away, especially what we know that some of these developers now. The caveat that I will give is if you are developing a game that nobody wants to play, you know, that kind of ends up being, you know, you send a bad product out and the market reacts to it. But if we're talking about something like Hi-Fi Rush and they get shut down, you know, that's where my heart's coming from. My heart feels for these guys. I'm just looking for the article. I had it right here. Eurogamer, you son of a biscuit. Okay, never mind. We're gonna do it from Pocket.
I like that one.
Yeah. Right.
I use son of a biscuit too.
You son of a biscuit, I'm in.
The Morty.
I try not to say OMG, so a lot of people make fun of me because I'll be like, oh my gatos.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, cats. Games industry layoffs not the result of corporate greed, and those affected should drive an Uber, says ex-Sony president. Yeah.
I want to smack him in the face.
No.
So we'll get you. Hold on. Okay. So ex-Sony Computer Entertainment Europe president Chris Deering, that is a mouthful, does not believe recent layoffs across the games industry have been a result of corporate greed. Instead, workers who have lost their jobs should drive an Uber or go to the beach for a year until employment settles. Deering was a guest on games writer Simon Parkin's podcast, My Perfect Console, where the pair discussed games industry layoffs. I don't think that it's fair to say that the resulting layoffs have been greed, said Deering. I always tried to minimize the speed with which we added staff because I always knew there would be a cycle, and I didn't want to end up having the same problems that Sony did in electronics. Deering acknowledged recent layoffs at Sony, including London studio, but noted if the money isn't coming in from the consumers on the last game, it's going to be hard to justify spending the money for the next game. True. He continued, I think it's probably very painful for the managers, but I don't think that having skill in this area of game dev is going to be a lifetime of poverty or limitation. Still where the action is, and it's like the pandemic, but now you're going to have to take a few, figure out how to get through it, drive an Uber or whatever, go out to find a cheap place to live and go to the beach for a year. But keep up with your news and keep up with it, because once you get off the train, it's much harder. Right. I think they go into where he comes from. But okay, so I have a few questions for you. How does this rub
Seems
you?
passive aggressive.
Right?
I think it feels like an ivory tower kind of opinion, like he's speaking from, he was a Sony executive, so he was making millions of dollars, right?
Well, it's easier to tell someone to downsize and cut their costs and
Exactly.
do something interim when you're safe.
Well, yeah,
and you have money.
and I think that's where it's,
and you've also got to think about it. Like he's saying, go find a cheaper place to live for a year. Go on holiday. Do this and do that. Well, that's not feasible for most people.
Right. And some of these people
also
uproot their entire lives to work for some of these companies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if you have to move across the state or move across country?
Move to another country to do it. Yeah, but my other thing is you're also saying for a year, you don't know that things are going to improve in a year, and you don't know when you're going to be hiring again. And yes, it is a field that needs things, but life
it's a popular
is hard
field
all over the world right now.
Yeah, and on the when he was saying about what was it? Jeez, I can't remember, but you had said something and it sent my thoughts going. So we know that a lot of these developers aren't millionaires. They can't really have time off, and like you were saying, we don't know when it's going to rebound. Oh, and when he was talking about it's not greed, we know that a lot of it was just because the
embrace her.
Exactly. Darth Lars is a perfect example of this, because whenever the money was rolling in, they decided to spend instead of knowing that this, the cycle was going to come to an end. They were going to have to do mass layoffs. I think greed did play a part in it, because they saw the money coming in from the global pandemic, and they decided to spend and not keep anything in the tank, knowing that the cycle will come to an end. I know I just said that twice, but
exactly
with his comments,
and how is it not greed if you're not willing to cut your salary for a year
100%
to keep 5 extra people on?
Yes, everyone. I think that should be in a contract of every CEO. If you run on hard times, you are going to cut your salary. You're going to have your salary cut to keep these people on. You can't.
They won't do that.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't get everyone. The only person that's safe from the CEO's bad decision is the CEO, and that's BS. That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
No, I agree with you, man. I agree, because when because I think I told you guys before, I've been laid off, and when people get laid off, I don't see a lot of this. I don't see a proposal to the person being laid off. Right, we're going through tough times now. Could we reduce your salary to help us get through these bad times, rather than just lay them off? Look at other options. Can you reduce their salary? Can you reduce yours? Can the organization reduce theirs? And obviously it's going to be a difficult question. It's going to be a difficult thing to do, but at least you're trying. It's not like, right, we're cutting costs X, Y, and Z. And also, do they help them get back on their feet? So when you're laying them off, are you saying, right, I recommend going to this company, or I can put a good word in here? I don't see a lot of that. I just see right, laid off, see you later.
Sometimes though, what you will have is, as part of the exit process, there will be like, okay, you'll get a severance hopefully, but also some I know it in my head, but I'm having trouble making the words for it. But job placement assistance. Sometimes you'll see that. But to what you were saying earlier, why don't they just, we're going through hard times, we need to reduce. You have to see your employees as people at that point, and that's not something that a lot of companies will do.
But it goes back a couple episodes ago when we were talking about the layoffs, and I said at least Epic tried. They cut some servers, some server banks, which are wildly expensive. They cut meals, you know, where they
Yeah.
were doing like free meals for everybody and free drinks and stuff like that. They looked at other areas in order to reduce costs before they went to layoffs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I want to say that they actually had like the least number of layoffs, but at least they tried. Like, you know, the CEO could be like, okay, well, I'll take a half my year's salary this year so that we can keep this people, or I'll take 25%, because I'm sorry, if you're making the stupid money that CEOs do, you can afford to lose a year of pay.
Oh yeah, what you could do is even just liquidate some of the stocks you have, and you'd be
I was
set
about
for
to say
life.
that. I was about to say that. At least some assets. You know what I mean? You got
Like,
assets.
Don't take a
Like-
salary and just liquidate some of your stocks in the company.
I had a boss once that, like, more than once moved her and her family out of their home to rent the home out just to make extra money to help their business stay afloat during hard times, so that they wouldn't have to fire their staff.
Yeah, and it's not like we haven't seen this before. We had a Nintendo CEO. Instead, when they fell on hard times, he reduced his salary so he can keep his people on. You know what I mean? So with what we're going through now, and these CEOs begrudgingly not begrudgingly, because I'm sure they love it, but they stay on while they see, you know, they have security walk their people out the door. We know that you can reduce your salary to keep these people on. We've seen it done before. So to me, it just feels like they don't care. They just don't care. They want to
100%.
reduce
That's
price.
exactly how I feel. And they might even justify it to themselves by being like, oh, well, I only got half the normal bonus, or I didn't get a bonus this year, or I didn't get the perk of this. You know,
People can be really good at people can be really good at rationalizing, especially to themselves.
Yeah.
Right I may disappoint you guys a little bit because
here we go. I love it.
I listened to I saw the comments and I thought, okay, well, this is on a podcast and I want to know more. I want more context, right? So I actually listened to the whole podcast, and this part that is getting blown out of, well, I wouldn't say blown out of proportion, but it's getting blown up, just happens at like the last few minutes of it, right before they were ending off. And taken out of context, this looks really bad. Even within context, it still looks kind of bad. And I don't think he meant to be as dismissive as everybody's pointing him out to be, and lumping him in with all these other tone-deaf, out-of-touch CEOs. There's probably a little bit of it there, but mainly what he was trying to say in this, by, you know, taking a year off, driving an Uber, whatever, is the way that he ended up pointing it out later on is this is just, it's like a game. You encounter an obstacle, you do what you need to do to overcome it so you can continue playing. And I thought, well, that's kind of neat. That's kind of a neat way of looking at it. I would have chosen different words. But I mean, he was on the spot. This wasn't a pre-recorded thing. He didn't have lines. This was all off the cuff. So to me, that context was very important. And this guy, he's not the type of person that was raised with a silver spoon in his mouth. Like, he went to state schools. Eventually he went to like Harvard and so on and so forth. And he had a career. He's got a marketing background. So he's not really wasn't really too much involved with the development side of things. Right. But in that sense, where he's talking about, like, you do what you got to do. If it means you got to drive an Uber, you got to drive an Uber. If you got to, you know, find a cheaper place to live, those are all things that are completely relatable.
No,
it's just the words that he chose.
I agree, but what have you ever tried to break a lease?
Right.
You know what I mean? And all the money that it costs you on top of finding a new place, on top of that, you know, harming you from being able to find a new place and stuff.
And that's one of the things that he was talking about, is it's just kind of the nature of this industry. He talks about it glowingly. He says it's like it's so much fun to work, but this is one of the trade-offs. This is one of the things you have to be aware of. That sometimes you go from job to job to job. Project's done here, you've got to move on to something else.
Which most devs know.
But like, you think they'd be able to kind of, very true. But you think with this cycle, it's being a cycle, it happens, you know, like after they're done with the project, they have to start letting people go. You think they'd be able to manage that better? You know what I mean? So that this cycle doesn't have to be a cycle. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. And that's actually something that I think he missed the ball on a little bit, was he's making, because he says, I was always careful about hiring too many people because he didn't want to end up like the electronics division.
Yes.
I don't know that most of the people that are managing these studios thought to do that. They thought, ooh, gold rush, all this money coming in. Let's just get as many people as we can, push out as much crap as we can. You know, let this period is never going to end.
Yeah. Oh
right?
gosh.
So he's making the assumption that people managed the way that he did, and it's very clear that they didn't.
100%.
They didn't think about this stuff before they were
Yeah.
spending all of this money that they wouldn't end up having.
Yeah.
It was a gold rush.
Yeah. Right on.
Right. There was some over exuberance there. It wasn't. Some of it was greed. Yeah, because not everybody thinks like this guy.
Yeah.
There are greedy CEOs. There are
100%.
greedy C-suite people out there, but not all of them.
Yeah.
One thing I would also like to point out is that, okay, so yeah, he thought about stuff like that, but he also has a board that he reports to and investors to answer to.
Yeah.
So while he might have thought that and been like, hey, you know, we can't end up like this, there's only so much you can do. And I'm saying this in favor of the CEOs. There's only so much you can do in those circumstances when you're trying to fulfill your obligation to make all that money and put out all this stuff and everything like that. So like, at least he thought of it and he brought it up, but you know, the bottom line is the way that it came out, and yes, I realize that it came off the cuff and everything like that. If I was interviewed live and in this situation, my foot would probably be all sorts of in my mouth.
Stop it.
You know,
Yeah.
straight up, I probably would have fumbled. I might have been like, bleh, you know, like it wouldn't have gone well, and I would not have come off looking good.
Added to all of that is you be retired and not care what people think.
Yeah.
Added into all
How
of that.
old is he?
But
It's
his-
like
his
70s,
basic point, though-
70s?
I don't know.
But I think saying that it wasn't greed was
Yeah.
Kinda
You missed the mark
stupid.
on that. For
If
sure.
you're assuming
Because
that everybody's like you,
if it
okay, sure.
wasn't you
Yeah.
and greed, it was someone else and greed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's all about the money that
Yeah.
the top can make.
Right on.
You know?
Real
Yeah.
quick. So, with all that being said, let's get to a more fun article. This one's
Yes.
coming from the PC Gamer, pinned by Tyler Wilde. It's about using games to help with mental health. And I know that Nas is gonna have a lot to say on this. So I feel like I want to give you the floor like right after this, right after we finish this.
Oh, I mean, I've been doing this. I was way ahead of the game with this. I've been using gaming for mental health since I was like 5 years old.
Yeah, I've been doing that since '85.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. The company behind the mental health action shooter envisions a health insurance funded golden age for gaming, and it just got FDA clearance to treat stress. This perfect picture of this guy right here, so awesome. Let's get into so Deepwell co-founder Ryan Douglas doesn't just think news is good for patients and certain medical devices entrepreneurs, but also for gamers and developers. Introducing games to the world's trillions of dollars in healthcare spending can bring us back to the golden age of gaming, he said on a call with me last week, I'm assuming with the journalist. Deepwell has demonstrated its technology in VR game Zingens, which it calls a mental health action shooter. It sounds funny, since discussions about mental health and first-person shooters largely center on the claim that violent games disturb vulnerable young minds, but Douglas is convinced that not only are violent video games not inherently harmful, a recent Stanford study, and others agree, yes, I think we could put that to bed. Violent games don't make people violent. They're valuable therapeutic tools. It turned out that the action genre was one of the most therapeutic we had, Douglas told me during an earlier conversation in June. Zingens isn't okay. The basic idea is to get players into the relaxing, dopamine-rich flow state game designers and athletes often talk about, and to improve their everyday stress response by incorporating breath work, a well-established stress management tool, into the mildly demanding task of shooting accurately. It turns out, when we're heavily engaged in play, we learn at high accelerated rate, said Douglas. So we want to get people into environments when they're having a lot of fun, they're having a lot of flow, and that gives us the opportunity to do something called consolidation of memory, or to get you building new neural pathways. And as a result of that, you can literally adopt new thoughts and ideas about yourself, but you can also adopt things more limbically, like something that would respond to your autonomic nervous system. You get a trigger, you behave differently than you did before because you have a new neurological pathway that's become preferred over time. This is huge. Oh, so and the biggest one. Okay, so the way Douglas sees it, great games are already therapeutic, and developers don't necessarily have to design around Deepwell's biofeedback system to take advantage of the FDA clearance. For example, a hub of games meant for stress management, some of which use the breathing mechanic and some of which don't, would still qualify. Devs can also continue to sell their games outside of a healthcare context. The result, Douglas hopes, is that game developers will gain access to the healthcare economy while still making the kinds of games they want to make. That is a mouthful. However, this is probably my favorite article in a long time, just because of what it means for the game industry and people actually, viewing games in the context that I, selfishly think that they should be viewed. It's a stress reliever. It gets you into another world. It melts all of your other problems away. And now you can have that, have it diagnosed, get a doctor to prescribe it, and it's covered. And hopefully they can get it covered through Medicare or Medicaid for people who want to go that route. So, what kind of are we super excited about this?
I'm a big mental health advocate. So my parents were social workers and therapists. My daughter is now a social worker. Mental health has always been big in my life, big in my family. It was never a shameful thing. It was something to talk about. It was something to deal with. And I don't know if I've mentioned it on the stream or not, that I suffer from PTSD and other mental health issues like anxiety, severe depression, and stuff like that. Hang on one second. I need you to be quiet, please. I know you're trying to get your stuff, but I'm on a stream. All right. Okay. So Gamer Geek Jr. is just trying to come get the PlayStation 4. Here comes a wave.
I thought you were talking to one of your cats.
You can have a hand. So, no, sorry. I do talk to them like that, but anyway. Okay, so for me, like, I also think of it in an educational standpoint and mental health. So I noticed that anger control is easier for me. Decision making has become easier for me. The stress of the gameplay, the collaboration with other gamers, and so on and so forth. All these skills that were weaker in my skill set are now much more advanced. And I'm also just, I'm very much happier. I'm more relaxed. My anxiety isn't as bad. I find really anxiety-inducing moments in games, especially in Resident Evil. When you guys watch on my channel, you can see a moment where you're like, "Oh my God, how did she calm down during that?" And so it's taught me how to work better under pressure. And
Nice. Yeah.
Fox knows that, like, in the military we had all that and stuff, and it was just really scary. But now I'm sure that that's translated to your video game life a little bit. You can handle things under pressure just a little bit better than if you had never had those experiences in the military. So on and so forth. But with kids, it teaches them problem solving. It teaches them social skills, because we've got the whole online thing now.
In some cases, it gives them agency that they wouldn't otherwise have.
Yes. Yes, 100%. But, there's so many things about video games that it does. Like, it teaches you to multitask. It helps you build communities. People like me who have extreme social anxiety. How long did it take you to get me to come on this show, Fox? Like 6 months before I finally...
Oh, wow.
It took a while.
You know what I mean?
It took a while.
And
we talked a lot before, though. It was very cool.
Yeah. And if you ask Lord Beerus, I swore up and down I would never be on camera. I wouldn't even do a voiceover on my videos. Like, it was never going to happen. but here I am. You know what I mean? And this
You just need to get on
is
Twitch
between-
now. That's the next step.
But between having a good support system of fellow gamers and people that were
Mhm.
understanding and patient with me and
Mhm.
helping to push me out of my comfort zone and to try something new. I told you guys this morning, like, man, I love Saturday mornings. I get to be with you guys, and it's like something I look forward to all week. You know, that has helped me as
So
far
it's-
as my anxiety and depression go as well. So
Confidence.
video games,
You
yes,
gain
and I've
confidence
gained
as well.
confidence.
Yeah.
So video games have brought a lot to my life and
Yeah.
helped me in a lot of ways that I don't think I could have gotten solely on my own or with just therapy alone. You know, adding these things in have helped me go further and take my skills further and have that support. So I'm big on gaming.
So you're all for it then?
Even the VA has
Right on.
started something, video games and trying to help veterans and stuff like that. And then you'll have charities that do gaming for veterans so that they can raise money and stuff.
cool.
And
Yeah.
for getting their children hospitals that now have charities that bring games in for cancer patient children
Very cool.
and so
Yes,
on and so
yes.
forth, because everybody's starting to understand and see the positive impacts of gaming.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Scotty, what do you think?
Sir. No, I think it's good. I think
Yeah.
gaming has a big platform, and I think it's a platform which can be utilized in good ways. And as Gigi said, like myself personally, I think gaming has taught me a lot. It's taught me how to problem solve with life difficulties. I know it sounds crazy, because imagine you're on a gaming level like Mario Brothers, or as Nas would know, Mega Man X, those type of games. You're trying to beat the boss, right? And it's teaching you failure hates persistence. You keep going and going and going and going. And once you do it, you think, I did it. Let me try to do this. See if I can do that.
Mhm.
And it just teaches you that, right, if you keep going and going and going and be persistent, you can actually achieve it. And confidence as well. Like, I wasn't really a confident person, believe it or not. Bit like Gigi, I wasn't a camera person at all. Didn't want to be on camera. I was always against
You
it.
guys, you killed it.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
seriously,
Yeah,
man. I was never really a camera person. I didn't like speaking to people I didn't know. So when I used to go on Xbox game chat and stuff, speaking to people around the world was quite not odd, but it was different because I didn't
Yeah.
know any better, I guess.
Yeah.
And now it's taught me how to be confident. So now I can speak to you guys. Obviously, I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for gaming, because party chats, it was very like alien to me. I was like, right, how do I speak to people? Don't get me wrong, I still have moments where I wouldn't speak to a random person if I'm on an online game. I'll happily play the game with no headphones. that still happens. So I can imagine like this platform from a mental health perspective, it can teach you a lot, especially the article says mental health action shooter. So like Gigi said, and Fox, you know as well, being in the military, you know, it can show you things and teach you things like, right, okay, here's X, here's Y, here's Z, and it kind of gives you a different perspective on things. And obviously the younger generation as well, I'd argue they shouldn't be playing shooting games if it's 18 plus, but maybe that could teach them and say, look, like, it's not cool to play these games because X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
And then give them an education on it, and then maybe it'll help. I'm sure it will.
Maybe a target practice instead of a Call of Duty type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I was an angry elf. I was that one that like broke my Game Gear when I couldn't beat the final 2 levels on Mortal Kombat.
Rage quit. Was it rage quitting? Rage, yeah.
I was just an angry little elf, and
right on.
and now I'm just like, oh man, this is scary, and I know I'm not gonna be able to beat it. But you know what? I can come back later when I get more XP and I level up, or I make some friends and I ask for help. You know.
Yeah.
But before, it could have been a controller into the TV. I don't know. We don't know.
Well, Nas,
I've seen those videos of those kids that like throw controllers at their TVs. Wouldn't be my kid.
I mean, I grew up in a generation where if you threw the controller at the TV, it would just bounce right back at you and hit you in the face. Because
those old school TVs, like the old school TVs roaches and
They don't make them like they used to, and that's
and,
not entirely a bad thing.
who is
Okay.
it?
Right
The guy
on.
from the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards. They'll
Okay.
be what survive a nuclear
Um,
holocaust.
But as far as this article and what it means to me, I mean, gaming has been a very, very important part of my life from a very, very young age, as much as I didn't want it to be, because I learned very early on that it was sort of a niche hobby. And if you told the wrong people that you played games, you would, well, I grew up in an environment where I had never felt safe. I never felt safe at school. I never felt safe at home. My refuge was my Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah.
And then later on, it was my Super Nintendo. And that was hard. When I wasn't playing a game, I felt extremely vulnerable, because I was vulnerable to a lot of different crap.
Yeah.
And didn't really have anybody in my corner except for my consoles, except for my gaming PC. So I sunk a lot of time into them because I needed that escape.
Yeah.
And I'm not alone in that. And I wouldn't be able to. This is potentially great news.
Yeah.
I do have questions about it, because it's a great idea, but I'm always concerned about the implementation of it and how it's going to look. Like, how exactly is this going to work?
Yeah.
How is this going to affect the gaming landscape? And if the government's involved with this, how is that going to change things as well? Because if this becomes a medical or Medicaid or Medicare or whatever concern, how is that going to shape things going forward? Because I wouldn't want it to affect what people are able to get out of games as they are right now. I came through that door where I don't know where I would have been without games.
Yeah.
And I certainly would not be able to
100%.
look at myself in the mirror if I let that door close behind me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I relate to
Holy
that
moly,
1,000%. I definitely had to use my consoles to escape life at home many a time.
That's powerful stuff. man.
I'm sorry to hear that,
Inspiration.
because I know what it's like.
Yeah, I actually have existing childhood PTSD on top of my military PTSD, which is why things have always been kind of hard for me. I am lucky that I have a family that supports it, and they do their best to understand like why games are so important to me and why I kind of need them, just like I need my medicine so I'm not constantly having panic attacks throughout the day.
Yeah.
You know, I'm hoping, to add on to what Na said, that it'll be more like art therapy or occupational therapy, where they're using it as tools instead of trying to regulate it.
Yes.
That's one thing I'm concerned about, is how exactly how are you going to define this? Because certain people, not everybody gets the same thing out of each game.
Exactly.
Some people can just kill hordes of zombies and be really stressed out, and like their adrenaline's going, and some people might actually find that kind of relaxing. So how are you going to tailor this to each person?
Oh,
Starting value might work for some people, and it won't work for me.
Yeah, but it's
Common
just
people
like
now.
like
You're gonna
how-
have to find, like, you're gonna have to do like evaluations. Honestly, it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be like another
That's what I'm
evaluation
thinking
type thing.
I hope so, because that's where I'm concerned. How is this going to be implemented? Are they just going to say, okay, well, this person suffers from this. Well, these are the games that we know of, and they may not work for that person.
Yeah.
Are you going to have like, are you going to have your fancy games, and then you're going to have your generics, which are cheaper? Like, how much is this going to tailor medicine?
Like for some people, like I know cozy games like Animal Crossing or you know, Starlight Valley or any other number of things are their relaxation. And
City builders, where it's at, you know. Or,
you could go to Fall Guys and it could look really cute and fun, and it just stresses you out so bad that you can't even contemplate picking up the game again.
Yeah.
You know, because that type of stuff isn't good. So it's definitely going to have to be like an evaluation thing. I hope that they would do it more like a therapy, because
an individualized therapy.
You can get an insurance company to work with like a provider that will pay for like 3 consoles that you're
Maybe we can get our insurance to
psychotherapy.
pay for a PS5 Pro.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe Sony was so ahead of everything.
See?
They knew
Yeah.
this was coming.
And they said we're gonna stick it to big
That's
pharma.
hilarious.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
hilarious. I love that.
I would honestly say I don't think that that video game consoles or anything should be something that insurance covers, because I think that there would be a lot of trying to
That was
play
spike the
system.
prices. That was
Oh,
spike
yeah,
the
that-
prices of consoles.
But I think
You
if
would
you
have
got
people
with
gaming the system.
like okay, so we have a children's hospital nearby, and they have an amazing mental health division. So if you've got 3 or 4 consoles there, and like especially in the behavior therapy, like you would go with the counselor, and you would go into this playroom, and you would either play a game while doing your therapy
Very
and
cool. Yeah.
get life skills taught to you via the board game,
Mhm.
or via the art, or via whatever.
Yeah.
And that's another way that they use art therapy. So I think that would be more feasible,
Right on.
or like, hey, we've been doing this therapy for 6 months. It seems to really be improving. I'm going to write you this recommendation, and they give you like maybe like a credit, like here we'll cover like $150 or $200 towards this console,
Right on.
so that you continue to do this work at home.
Yeah.
That's something I could see
Yeah.
being really good and being a help and stuff like that. But I don't think they should be like, okay, well, we're going to write you a prescription for your PS5 Pro.
I honestly look forward to the day where I can call into my boss and say, "I'm sorry, I've got a stressful day. I got to go play some Sonic. Sorry,
know.
I'll be back in tomorrow."
That's so great.
That's right.
That seems like a great stopping point. Last thoughts, final thoughts on anything that we talked about today.
I think that some CEOs are better than others. I think they
that
could do
is-
better.
Well, that's definitely given. I think most CEOs
The
are very
layoffs and the economy it sucks, and we've got to roll with it for now.
Yeah,
But Sony, you need to rethink some things.
100%. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I will forever say that art and gaming and even music, whether you play or listen, are really important for people.
100%.
I've seen a lot of changing, and even for me, becoming part of a blended family,
Mhm.
video games
Mhm.
gave us that connection
Yeah.
to me being able to really start to bond with my stepchildren, and so did art
Mhm.
and music, and it just all went from there. Like, you never know that those weren't my biological children.
Mhm. Right
know?
on.
And
Found some common
Yeah.
ground to bond over.
yeah.
That's cool.
And it was even, like, my daughter was like, my mom was so proud of me because I just got a PlayStation Slim. And like, her friends were just like, oh my God, your mom likes that you play video games. Like, can we have your mom? And stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's just really funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm always going to be big on art, music, and gaming for
Very cool.
people
Yeah.
to help them in whatever way they can.
Right on. Gotti, Nas.
Yes, sir. From my perspective, I think let's see what happens with the PlayStation 5 Pro
Mhm.
from a decision-making perspective. I can't even talk.
Words are hard.
Decision-making perspective. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. So we'll see what happens with that space. Because that was an interesting price to set. Also, what else did we discuss? Hopefully, Kojima is recognized for the work he did on Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, because that was a masterpiece, which it's his IP. So hopefully, he gets recognition for it, despite
Yes.
the bad blood or whatever's happened in between the two.
Mhm.
What else did we discuss today? I think that's the crux of it. Oh, I will say one thing on the mental health piece quickly. There is certainly a space for it, because during COVID, where everyone was locked up and everything, my consoles were gathering dust because I hadn't played them for so long, and I didn't know what to do to get into a mental state. And I turned on my Xbox and I played Sonic Generations, and I found myself again. So
Wow.
there is a
Yeah.
space for that. And since that, I've always had this connection with Sonic more since that.
Mhm.
So when the movies are out, I watch it. Anything Sonic related, I buy it. And it's just part of that connection. And it
Absolutely.
made me enjoy gaming again. So there's certainly a space for it from a mental health perspective.
Very
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
That's what
and
I
it's,
got.
it's brought me a lot of friends. Like
Yeah.
I'll be like,
Mhm.
my 3 friends in England and this and that, and people are like, man, you've got so many friends all over the world. I'm like, yeah, I do, because of video games.
Up in Canada too.
Yeah, in Canada, and
Yeah.
as Lord Beerus will say, Canada, 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 and I'll say Canadian, and he'll tell
Well,
me
he
I'm
called
a brat.
King of Canada. I don't know where he got that from, but
I like that.
I appreciate it nevertheless.
It's Canada. It sounds fancy.
It does. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Nas, do you have any final thoughts?
I always have some. I mean, it's important to remember, guys, that we're all gamers.
Mhm.
And if something comes out that excites one set of fans and doesn't excite the other set of fans, it doesn't make any sense to attack the people that are excited for it. They may have reasons for being excited or being enthusiastic for something that you don't know, and you can make assumptions, and we all know what what happens when you do. But if you want to know why somebody's excited about something, there's a really simple thing that you can do, and you can just ask them. You
Yeah.
can just treat them like they're people.
Exactly.
Maybe they know something, or maybe they've thought of something that you haven't. It's possible. Nobody knows everything.
That's right.
So attacking your fellow gamers, because we are all gamers, doesn't help, doesn't really change anything. You owe it to yourself to try to understand, and maybe, just like in a video game, if there's a secret, you have to work to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do that without trying, without experimenting, trial and error. Like Scotty said, and I love this, I've never heard it put quite this way, and I love it. I want it on a t-shirt. Failure hates persistence.
That's
I
right.
love that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Yes, sir. I read that in the book. I can't remember what book it was.
It's
but
it's
when I
still like
remember, I'll
one
tell
of the
you.
greatest ever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
like what Nas is saying, it's just like, the infighting between people that love Xbox and they're hardcore Xbox versus PlayStation.
Mhm.
We're all gamers.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I mean-
that's like attacking the person that loves to play Animal Crossing but won't pick up a Mario game because it's just too tough for them.
Mm.
It's not their style. It's like making fun of somebody for playing mobile games like Monopoly Go versus
Well, mobile gamers don't
Yes.
count, though. That's different.
Right
I'm
on.
joking.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, it's just,
Mhm.
I might know people that they have the means that this PlayStation 5 Pro isn't even like a thought for them. They're just like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. And it's not
right.
a struggle. It's not a plan. It's not a budget.
That's fine.
Versus other people that are like, I'm still just drooling over the PlayStation 5 every time I walk
Right.
into Walmart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And it's
Mhm.
important for those two
Yeah.
minds not to clash with each other. If somebody wants to get
Yes.
the PlayStation 5 Pro, totally fine, man. You're not an idiot
absolutely.
for that. You're not stupid.
No.
It's just, you do it, it's what, tickles your fancy. Go for it.
We
And
might not
also
agree
for
with
the
it,
ones-
but we don't have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
And,
but
I mean-
it's important not to attack that person because they want
Yeah.
to get the PlayStation Pro.
100%.
You know,
So
yeah.
everything that we said today had nothing to do with trying to convince anybody not to buy it
Right.
or
Yeah.
making them feel bad about even thinking about buying it.
Right.
Because,
Exactly.
I mean, even for me, if circumstances were what they were even 6
If they
years
were
ago, it probably
Yeah.
wouldn't be a thought because I'd be like, I've got the money, I can do it,
Right.
and then I'll have my second one. So, I mean, it
Yeah.
could be something simple as that,
Mhm.
but I think that we all need to learn to be a little more supportive and loving with each other on the Twitter and elsewhere, and trying to understand each other's
Yeah.
differences of opinion as a whole.
Mhm.
So
Let's all gather
Right on.
around in a
And
circle and sing kumbaya.
yeah, and Nas is gonna start because
I
he's
don't
got
mind
the
holding
voice.
your hand, Nas. But with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. You can catch all these guys. All their Twitters and YouTubes and Twitches is in the description. Go ahead and check them out. They deserve it. It's been so freaking awesome to hear everybody's perspective on all this. Especially they differ some, and it's important for us to hear those different perspectives and think outside the box. And I think that's great. So definitely go visit them on their social medias, on their YouTubes, on their Twitches. You'll find stuff that you absolutely love, guaranteed. But I'm gonna go ahead and close
wait.
this out. I said yes.
Can I say one thing? Can I do a small little plug?
Please
Yes.
do.
Oh,
I just
yes,
love to
yes,
hear
yes,
you
yes.
talk.
Okay, so this Thursday, 12 p.m., 61 Indie is doing a showcase showing off 45 indie games in 75 minutes with developer interviews and whatever. I'm going to be doing a live reaction with Scotty and Gigi
Yes, sir.
right here on the
Yes,
YouTube.
sir.
So come check it out.
Yes.
Yay.
Right on.
And I'm looking forward
yeah.
to it. I love seeing new stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
The only reason I'm not coming is because I'm gonna be working.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
It's
That
all right,
awful
it's okay.
adulting thing. Ugh.
It happens.
It really
Yeah.
sucks.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I'm
I
actually looking forward to
100%
that.
agree. Yeah.
Me too.
What?
It'll be fun to have you guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll see you guys on the other side.
All right, everyone,
enjoy
have
your
a great
weekend,
weekend.
everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah.
We hope
Have a
to
good
see you
one.
guys next week.
Oh yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Well, I would love to thank them so much for showing up on Saturday today. Started a little bit late because I woke up late. My alarm didn't go off. But if you want to see their YouTubes, their Twitches, and follow them on Twitter also, their links are in the description. Something there for everybody. I'm sure you'll find something that you like. While you're there, you can check us out too. Go through the Rolodex of almost said movies, videos, and live streams and all that good stuff. But lastly, but definitely not leastly, thank you for all the viewers, everyone that commented. John DeBizzy, we saw you in there. But also Beerus, we know you're a regular on here. But everyone who didn't comment and we're still watching, thank you. There'd be no reason to get up this early on a Saturday without it. So thank you. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and then you can catch us next Saturday at the same time. But until then, keep it casual. Peace. All right.